Hello, candle makers! Let's make our iconic strawberry macarons together. From making the crust, real-looking strawberries, piping cream wax, to assemble the macarons. Join our YouTube membership for more candle tutorials.
This kind of macaron mold will make a whole piece of macaron. You need 2 crusts and with some cream in the middle. However, the macarons made using this mold look unrealistic and the cream in the middle looks too close in color. This mold is for smaller size macaron crusts. Most macaron molds sold on the market are like this. This mold can make small macaron accessories which can be used to decorate dessert candles or candles for bigger cakes. We developed bigger size macaron molds. You can see the beautiful feet on the edge of the macaron crust. If you pour the wax to the top of the mold, you will get a very clear feet. If you want smaller feet, just pour the wax to a lower level, which will give you smaller or no feet. This mold can make 2 types of crust. This size is big enough to allow us to assemble more creative macaron styles instead of just adding some fillings in the middle. Here are some heart-shaped macaron molds, which is also created by us. The finished products look like this. You can add some cream and fruits. The big mold on my left-hand side uses 40 grams of wax. The heart mold has 2 sizes, 20 grams for the bigger one and about 9 grams for the smaller one. Okay, let's melt some wax, add some color, and pour into the molds. Approximately 212 degrees Fahrenheit for the wax temperature. Now we can start coloring. If you only want one color, you can color first and then add some fragrance oil. Mix well and pour into the molds. Try to add the fragrance oil as late as possible. If we want to make different colors of crusts, it might be too much work to add scents one by one. My suggestion is to add fragrance oil first and then color the wax in different containers. Adding fragrance oil in advance may lose some scent, but most of the scent will still be kept. When adding fragrance oil at a high temperature, we need to add more amount of oil. The ratio is about 5 to 10% of wax weight. The rule of thumb is about 7%, meaning for every 100 grams of wax, add 7 grams of fragrance oils. What we have here is about 400 grams of wax, so we will add about 28 grams of fragrance. Use measuring spoons, mix well, and then start coloring. Pour the wax into the measuring cup. It shows 100 millimeters in the cup. 100 millimeters equals to about 80 grams of wax. 80 grams of wax is perfect for 2 of our big size macaron crusts. For 2 crusts of the same color, we will assemble like this. It also looks very nice when we mix and match different colors. Looks pretty good, right? If we only make 1 crust, then use 40 grams of wax. We could color the wax in the cup. The good thing is, we don't need to measure the wax every time. Just use the markings of the cup to measure. Now let's start coloring. We use the Macaron Color Set. The reasons are, number 1, we need lighter colors for the macarons. The lighter it is, the prettier. And secondly, we will add some white piping wax in the middle. So if we use liquid dye or normal candle dye, the color might bleed into the piping wax and it won't look good. So that's why we're using the special Macaron Color Set. When adding color, do not exceed 0.4% of the total wax weight. Otherwise, it will prevent burning. Just control the ratio within 0.4%. The colors we use are not very strong, so normally it won't be more than 0.4%. We want lovely light colors. We can also use mixed colors. If you think a single color, for example this pink, is too bright and you want to make it darker, feel free to add another color to adjust it. For example, add some purple. Or if you want the pink to not look so pinkish, green is also a good choice. Or maybe even some brown. If the wax starts to harden when coloring, just put the cup back onto the heater to melt the color completely. Or just use the remaining heat on the surface of the heater. Melt the color slowly. Wait for the color to melt completely. If it's not fully melted, you will see small color chunks on the crust. Now we can test the color. Drip some color onto a flattened white paper cup or any white paper. Wait until it dries to verify the color, because the color looks very different when it's dried. Now that it's solidified, check to see if this is the color that you want. Pour the wax into the mold and it should fill up 2 big size molds. Now let's mix some other colors. We're going to make a yellow crust. So if we only use yellow, it might look too bright. We could add some purple to darken it. It's possible to even add some brown as well. Test the color and the temperature before pouring. When using the silicone molds, the wax temperature must be higher than 194 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature is too low, the finished product won't look smooth, so it's best to pour at a higher temperature. If the room temperature is too low, use the heat gun to warm up the molds before pouring. This way, the temperature won't drop too rapidly. The surface will be much smoother. So as a rule of thumb, the lower the room temperature, the higher the wax temperature. We need as high as 212 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter and as low as 185 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Generally, the silicone molds require higher pouring temperature than plastic molds. This is a light brown color. The temperature is around 197 degrees Fahrenheit. This is pink with some green. Lighter and less saturated colors look better for the macarons. We used fuchsia for this one, but with a little bit of extra blue in it. Finish pouring the wax into the smaller size molds and let them sit to solidify for a couple of hours. Here they are, ready to demold. Let's pull them out. If we filled the molds too full, just remove the extra wax by hand. Use a knife to shave the edges of the macarons to give them a consistent look. This is the color we are looking for. When assembling, we can use crusts of the same color with some piping wax in the middle as fillings, or use two different color crusts. Both will look nice. For those smaller macaron crusts, you can use them as individual macarons, or add some cream wax inside to decorate bigger cake candles. Here are the bigger macaron crusts. If we fill the molds too full, it will have feet on the edges. Shave the edge a little so it looks more consistent, just like this. We will fill the uneven surface after demolding by shaving off the taller part, and also make the bottom flatter. Here's a light coffee color macaron. Okay, so this is how you make a macaron crust.
Hi, I'm Jade, the founder of the FUNCANDLES. This is our Etsy shop. We'll put those amazing courses on YouTube for just a little monthly fee. Join our YouTube membership now and start the best candle journey with me.
Let's make some cute strawberry macaron candles. In the previous course, we have taught you how to make macaron candles crusts. Now we will use those large-size macaron crusts in making strawberry macaron candles. Here is a French meringue mold. Those beautiful meringues will be put on the top of macarons. If you don't have this mold, you could use a piping bag instead. In making the strawberry candles, we will use two different kinds of wax, soy wax and white beeswax. The ratio is 6:4. 6 part of soy wax to 4 part of beeswax. Melt both wax together, heat to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Remove from heat. Add any flavor fragrance oil you like. About 6 to 8% of wax weight. Mix well. Pour the wax into the French meringue mold first. After that, pour out a third of the remaining wax. For coloring, use the red color from the Macaron Color Set. The Macaron Color Set won't mix with other colors, so when it assembles, the meringue won't be colored to red. If we use the regular candle dye, the cream wax will be colored to red. It will not look good. So that's why we are using the unique Macaron Color Set to finish the work. If you want it to look more red, just simply add more red color. Let's put the red part of the strawberries into the mold. When pouring it in, you need to fill it all the way up. This will make it much easier when we create the details of the strawberries. Fill it up. It's okay to fill it a little bit over. For the rest of the wax after this batch, we will reheat them and pour into the molds again. Now let's wait for the strawberries to be solidified. It will take about 10 minutes. Naturally, there will be some white parts inside the strawberry, so we need to fill it in with some white wax. Make a little space inside the strawberries. Right in the center, we need to keep some of the reds. It will look more real. Draw curves on both sides. The knife can cut diagonally from both sides like this. See? Make an oval shape in the middle. So here, we will fill it with white wax later. Use the knife, draw some small mustache on both sides. Clean up the extra wax. After that, pour a light layer of white wax liquid on the surface. It might bulge a little, but it's okay. We will fix it later. Just need to make sure the wax covers the whole area. We will wait for about 5 minutes. Until the wax on the surface solidifies, shave down the extra wax. Make it the same level as the mold, just like this. Now you can see the textures of the strawberry, with a beautiful red line vaguely showed under the white parts. What a piece of art! Then we will take all of the strawberries out of the mold. The shaved wax can be reused in making other candles. The wax falling down in parts. It's because the wax pouring temperature is slightly low. It did not stay in this gap. Don't worry, the wax is still soft. We can take some wax and fill it in by hand. So we fixed it! This is what it will look like after taking out the mold. Some strawberries, the texture looks very clear, but some are not. For the uncleared ones, we can use the white liquid candle dye with a brush to fix it. First, make the brush hairy. Second, brush on the side of the strawberries. Gently add some textures. The excess on the sides will be more obvious. Don't need to do too much, it can be done in several tries. Now we finish with strawberries. If we want to make it even more realistic, we can add some leaves to the strawberries. We will use the green beeswax sheet. With a small size flower cutter, cut out some green flowers. Since our strawberry is in half, we will cut the flowers in half as well. To glue it, just use some soft wax to glue the leaves onto the strawberries. Finally, we have our cute, beautiful, and real-looking strawberries.
Hi, I'm Jade, the founder of the FUNCANDLES. This is our Etsy shop. We'll put those amazing courses on YouTube for just a little monthly fee. Join our YouTube membership now and start the best candle journey with me.
To make the piping wax, the main ingredient is the soy wax. In addition, we added about 5% of pure beeswax, which is 5% of the amount of soy wax used. For example, for 500 grams of soy wax, you'll need about 25 grams of pure beeswax. Beeswax could increase the hardness and stickiness of the finished piping wax. Another key ingredient is the soft wax, which we will use 10% of it. See how the soft wax is very easy to cut? Just simply cut off the amount you need each time. Soft wax will still be soft at room temperature. Because of its sticky quality, we use it as glue to stick decorations. The finished piping wax will have a very good stickiness and smoothness to it and not looking jagged. The last ingredient is alcohol. Try to use 99% pure isopropyl alcohol, which has less water content. Use a handheld or an electric whisk to stir the wax. Let's use this 1000 milliliter big measuring cup. Here's 400 grams of soy wax, which includes 20 grams of pure beeswax and 40 grams of soft wax. Now melt them together. After everything is melted, decrease the temperature to 167 degrees Fahrenheit. Then pour in the alcohol. If the temperature is too high, alcohol will evaporate quickly, and that is not what we want. Adding alcohol slows down the speed of solidification, which buys us time to get the work done. Stir well after adding alcohol. If we want to add essential oils, do it now. As for the quantity, around 5% is good. Give it a good stir. At this time, because the temperature is relatively high, the wax is still in liquid form. We have two choices now. Keep stirring to help the wax cool down, or just leave it and wait until it cools down on its own. Either way works. Wait until the edge of the liquid wax turns white. Then we can start to stir again. By this time, we will be able to stir faster. Now, let's put it here and wait a little bit. After 15 minutes, the surface temperature should drop to about 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at the edge to see if it starts to whiten. Let's stir again. If it still feels very hot, you can wipe the pot frequently with a damp cloth, which will help with cooling. Stir a little bit more, and we can see the wax start to get murky. The liquid will get thicker and thicker. When we get to this texture, we don't want to stir as much anymore. Let's take a look at the surface temperature. It's about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the foam on the surface starts to harden, then we can stir again. This way, it will foam up a little faster. Let's leave it to solidify. We've left it for a while to cool to about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The edge is getting thicker and stickier. Here's a whole piece on the surface right now, and we need to start mixing the wax now. If the surface gets too hard, when mixed, the piping wax will feel very grainy, and you don't want that. Scrape the wax on the edge and push them into the pot. Keep stirring at high speed. The temperature right now is about 118 degrees Fahrenheit, which is at freezing point for soybeans. We can stop here and wait. When the surface starts to harden up again, we can stir again. If the weather is too hot, we can put the wax in the fridge to speed up the process a little. Leave it in there for about 3 to 4 minutes, take it out to stir. Keep repeating this process. So we left it in the fridge for about 4 to 5 minutes. The surface is starting to harden. Let's quickly stir it a bit. When it feels too hard to stir when you take it out from the fridge, use a heat gun to heat the surface a little bit. It's about 113 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Keep stirring until the surface forms a thin layer. See how the surface is hardening again? And the texture is getting thicker as well, looking like this thick, milky white condition, similar to that of a custard cream, or jam-like. Scrape the wax from the edge towards the middle of the pot. If there's too much wax along the sides of the pot, use the lowest heat of the heat gun to melt it a little so you can blend them easier into the mixture. Avoid overheating and melting the wax too much. At this thickness, the wax is perfect for glazing and frosting purposes. To make the kind of piping wax we want, we need to let it sit again. Since we can still feel the temperature from outside of the pot, let it sit for another 30 minutes, then we can stir again. So now it's been sitting here for about 30 minutes, and the surface is starting to harden again. We can still feel some heat. Now let's stir some more, otherwise the surface would get too hard. Scrape the sides towards the middle. The wax is sticking to the whisk head, so let's scrape the head a little bit. We let it sit for another 30 minutes. And stir the mixture one last time, and it should be ready now. Let's take a look at it. This is what it should look like when it's done. Leave it at room temperature for a while to harden a little bit more. When it gets a little harder, use a spatula to stir a bit, and it's ready to use. This is what the ready-to-use piping wax would look like. Unfortunately, piping wax can still get too hard at room temperature. So when we want to use it, we can warm it up in advance using a warmer or oven. Set the temperature of the warmer to 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours, and the piping wax should soften up. This way, we can make a big batch of piping wax in advance and warm it up whenever we need it. Let's take a look at the wax we made yesterday. It's already very hard this morning. So we put it in the warmer, and now it's perfect for some piping works. It can be easily squeezed out from the piping bag. Let's take a closer look at the piping wax. The texture is very delicate, and you can use it directly. Usually, we make a little extra wax, so that when we need it during a hot weather, we just stir it and use it. If it's in the winter, we will soften it up with a warmer, and then we can use it directly. And this is our piping wax recipe. It takes a little bit of time to master it, but once you do, you will have a lot of fun with it.
Hi, I'm Jade, the founder of the FUNCANDLES. This is our Etsy shop. We'll put those amazing courses on YouTube for just a little monthly fee. Join our YouTube membership now and start the best candle journey with me.
Now, take out our fabulous French meringues. What a great decoration on the macaron. The piping cream wax, please refer to the recipe in our piping cream wax lesson. If we use the cream wax often, we can make a big batch first. Warm it up on the heater before using it, and giving it a stir before each time of use. We will assemble 2 candles today. This is quite good amount of cream wax. The rest can just be stored in a shade area. Here's the piping cream wax. Give it a good stir, then it's ready to use. Or if it's too hard, we can use a heat gun to soften it. Use a spatula to stir. Now it's ready. Put the wax in the piping bag. We don't need any piping tips for this one. Just cut a small hole and it's good. If we don't use it immediately, store it in some warm place. Take it out when you're ready. Before assembling, we need to poke a hole on each side of the crusts for the wick. Use a metal needle. Heat it up with a heat gun, then poke it in. If you feel resistance when poking, pull it out, reheat it, and try again. Here we got the wick holes. Add a metal plate on the wick. Take the bottom piece of the macaron crust, pass the wick through the hole. Now it can stand on its own. Later on, we just need to assemble everything on this piece of crust. Okay, let's do the final touches. Put the bottom crust on a plate. Take out the piping cream wax. Squeeze it in the middle. Leave a little space on the edge. For the height, it's about the height of the strawberries. On the side of the cream wax, place the strawberries, the inner side of the strawberry facing outside, and make an even circle. See the red part of the strawberries? It needs to be attached to the white cream. This is why we need to use the Macaron Color Set. Otherwise, the cream will turn red eventually. It won't look good. We place 9 strawberries in this circle. If the cream in the middle is not high enough, just squeeze a little bit more on it. Try to squeeze it to the edge. Finally, put on the top part of the macaron crust. Press it down tightly. For decorations, we will use some soft wax to glue. Use any small accessories you prefer. Glue them together with soft wax. Now we got our first strawberry macaron candle. Done. Not enough? Let's make another one. This one takes a little bit more strawberries, about 10 pieces. Fill it up with cream wax, put on some beautiful accessories. Voila! Let me present to you our beautiful and yummy looking strawberry macaron candle.
Hi, I'm Jade, the founder of the FUNCANDLES. This is our Etsy shop. We'll put those amazing courses on YouTube for just a little monthly fee. Join our YouTube membership now and start the best candle journey with me.